lot of the work in my pottery studio revolves around making glazes. While I already do mark the test styles and rigorously write down all the details in a notebook, I figure it would be nice to be able to write more details directly on a test style. So all of this turned into months of testing and ended up giving life to a number of recipes that can be used as underglaze pencils. Now in this video I am sharing the recipe that in my opinion performed the best from the bunch that I've tested. And let me first share some details. All the pencils that I've tested, including the one I share here, were either Bisque fired to 960 degrees Celsius or left at a bone dry stage before usage. And the final products have all been fired to 1245 degrees Celsius. I am demonstrating making a small batch of black pencils using 20 grams of dry ingredients as our base. The base ingredients are kaolin, black pigment, ball clay, silica and POTASH FELDSPAR. On top of that, bentonite and ZIRCOPAX were added. I'll leave the recipe in the video description as well. I suggest to weigh each ingredient in a separate cup before adding it to the final cup. Also make sure to wear a respirator mask when working with dry ingredients. The particles are very fine and protecting your lungs is important. During this project, I tested out many different recipes, starting out with what I found on the internet. The first test I did barely showed any markings on glaze surfaces. To be honest, the disappointment from that failed test was exactly what then drove me to continue testing and developing until I found something that works. Every recipe I tested is documented and presented in my short ebook. I performed tests using different pigments, different oxides, and a mixture of both. You can see some of those test results at the end of this video. Once you have all the dry ingredients together, it's best to sieve the mixture a couple of times before adding water. This way all the ingredients are able to mix well. And this can take time, so don't rush it and enjoy the process. After you have a homogeneous mixture, slowly add water. I used around 9 to 10 grams of water for the final 22 batch of dry ingredients. Make sure to mix everything well with a sturdy brush. After everything is mixed well, scoop out the mixture and place it on a plaster board. You could also use a different surface, just make sure it's something that absorbs water well. We leave it on a plaster just long enough to firm up and we have a workable plastic state. Once it's ready, put on some gloves and try to knead the mixture like a dough. If it sticks too much, you can leave it on the plaster some more. Once it's workable, you can start taking small pieces and rolling them up into a pencil-like shape. Place each one on the plaster and leave them out to dry. My suggestion is to leave some pencils unfired and use them in their bone dry state and bisque fire the rest of the pencils. The bisque fire pencils are a lot more firm and can handle a fall or two. The bone dry pencils are a lot more fragile, but they do leave a more prominent pastel-like markings with softer and thicker lines. At the end of this project, not only did I get a perfect pencil for marking my test tiles, but I also gained a ton of new knowledge and even experimented with different pigments and oxides and created fun little tests combining the pencils with different underglazes and glazes. All the experiments, along with all the recipes I've tested, are described in detail in my tiny ebook. If you wish to support this project and more like it in the future, you can download the ebook. I'll leave the link to it in the description. I have to say I had so much fun during this last stage of testing, even though I normally don't create this style of pottery and I've never used underglaze pencils before. I was very intrigued with all the different combinations that came out at the end. I would absolutely love to see your work if you try this recipe. I'll leave my Instagram handle in the description if you ever want to share it with me. I'm also interested in how this would hold up in different firing temperatures, since these were all only fired to 1240 degrees Celsius. So if anybody wants to continue experimenting, I hope this little video gave enough insight and courage for you to try. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you'll come with me on my next adventure in glaze exploration.